Hello, welcome to this video. Now this video is primarily for accountants only, or QuickBooks users who are using the accountants only features. Because the feature we're going to talk about today is Accounts Production Pro Tax, which is only available for QuickBooks Online accountants. Now, if you are a QuickBooks Online accountant user and you are using Pro Tax, then this video is about 5 things I wish I knew before filing my first return in QuickBooks Online. And I think it's going to be really important for you to know a few little quirks that's coming your way. Now, quick disclaimer on this. This is at time of recording, and all of these are all purely software issues. One of the beauties of this piece of software is that QuickBooks owns this from start to finish. I know that some of these problems we're about to show here are already in development for fixes. Now, I don't know how long they're going to be, but for now, they are definitely there at release. So strap in, and we're going to look at some 5 things I wish I knew before submitting my first account and tax return within QuickBooks Online. Stay tuned. Hello, my name is Aaron Patrick. I am a chartered accountant, a certified UK trainer with a fancy new logo, that QuickBooks chap on the internet, head of accounts at Boffix, and also your friendly podcaster who goes live each and every Monday morning at 8:30 a.m. for Ask the Accountant. Now, in today's video, we're going to be talking about 5 things I wish I knew before I submitted my first set of accounts using the Accounts Production and Pro Tax solution. Now, these 5 things are a little bit quirky, and as I said in the intro, they're probably going to get fixed at some point in time. But if this is your first time filing those accounts, or if you haven't filed one yet, please do heed this advice, and let's go through number 1 that I wish I knew before I filed my first set of accounts. Okay, number 1. And this one is one that you really do need to heed my advice at. Top right hand corner, it says Start Return in Pro Tax. Now, to me, when I first saw this, I thought this is a handy little way of getting back to the Pro Tax area. But, as the name suggests, it's Start Return in Pro Tax, which means you start a brand new return in Pro Tax. For example, in this particular client that I've got here, I've already got my annual accounts there. I've already pressed Send to Pro Tax, so everything for me is already included and ready to go. And I now need to go to the Pro Tax area to finalise and submit the account. Well, if I press this button here, it's going to switch my companies, take me to the Pro Tax area, but unfortunately, what it's doing here is it's setting up and creating a new return, not taking me to the area. Now, if I press the little X button here, it does become a nice little handy shortcut-ish. I've still got to press Pro Tax, and I've still got to go into here. But if I'd have created another return, I'd have created a brand new return for 2022 and have to start from scratch. So heed my advice. Despite the fact it looks like this is a bit of a shortcut, it's not. It's for creating your first return the first time round. Now, the next point is pretty fundamental for making sure you get things right, and that's this tax mapping area just here. Now, your task in this area is to go through these lines here and make sure none of these relate to expenses or income, basically the profit and loss account for the account. And if I'm being 100% critical, I'm not really convinced why we as the accountant need to do this issue. But again, this is a starting point and we've kind of got to get our way through it. And I'm sure in a future update, we won't even have to touch this area. Because when you first send information here, you do actually have to go through this list, find out all of the profit and loss items and move the profit and loss items over to expense or turnover. Because ultimately you're trying to get the same profit figure that you've got in the account and you're tagging them so that they're ready to go into the corporation tax return. And when you send it over to HMRC, you want a nice tag set of accounts. So that's great and that works quite well. The problem is if you get one of these wrong, so imagine that you see this depreciation item here, for example, and you misread that for the depreciation of the profit and loss, and you assign the tax line, then it goes down into this area here, and at the time of recording, there's no way of taking this out of this area. So if, like me on my first submission, I accidentally put the wrong item in, thinking, oh, that's no problem, I'll just move it back out of there, but unfortunately you can't at this point in time. So be extra careful in this area. As at the time of recording, do make sure you look at each one of these items. A, let's make sure we don't miss any, because that could be quite critical. And B, let's really look at this carefully before you assign the tax line, because if you assign a tax line, you won't be able to change it later down the line. So heed my warning, and just let's think about this going forward. Okay, next point of call. Now, this one is just something for you to be aware of. Now, if I head to my little pencil button and look at my accounts, now, top left-hand corner, it's going to tell you the CRN and legal address are missing. And that's the point of this particular one. Information that's been brought into this area here is all driven by your settings cog. So if I go to settings cog, accounts and settings, and I go to the company figure, it's all these items that are coming in. And the thing is, majority of the time, you've never really had to be too critical on this, unless you're sending invoices out to the public. You've never really had much need to go through and check this area. But now it's going to be crucial because this information is going to form what your accounts are. You need to make sure your company name is absolutely spot on. Ideally spelled exactly the same as it is on Company's House, so you don't get any submission errors. Company's House registration numbers need to be correct, and so do your company addresses as well. Also, don't forget, it's now going to be crucial that this month-end figure here is correct. So please do heed the advice, making sure that all of that's updated so that when you press the little pencil button here, everything on this area is exactly how it should be. My next one is more of a me issue, I think, than anything else. But when I was looking through here and I was going through and I saw this little pencil here and I saw this registered name with the little brackets over it, my assumption was that that meant that QuickBooks was going to pick that up when I pressed the finalize button. And you know how normally you have those little brackets around it means that they're going to be replaced by what the system is, and the system's going to generate those bits for you, kind of mail merge type idea. Well, unfortunately, that's not what this is telling you. This is telling you you need to go in and amend those elements there. So this is telling you to go in and override that. Now, I promise you this is going to be a solution that is only going to be temporary, and there will be ways in which that will happen in the future. For now, though, if you see these little brackets here, that's for you to go in and override accordingly. I've added here a director's advance and credits note just here, exactly the same. It's given me a template. I then need to go through, and every time that I see this area here, I need to click on my little pencil, and I need to make sure that I'm updating it as I need to. So I'm going to say here that I've actually given an advance, press save, and then the right hand side will be updated accordingly. So do make sure that you heed that advice. Those little brackets there are not things that QuickBooks are going to fix for you. They are things that you need to be able to look at accordingly. And my final bit of advice is more so trying to get your head around what to expect and set your expectations for what this is going to do from day one. Now, remember, this is the first iteration of Pro Tax and accounts production. So we don't have all of those bells and whistles we may be used to in other software. A great example would be in this area here that I'm at there. You'll notice that I have to physically type in and add back depreciation. In other softwares, it'll probably pick up depreciation for you, add it back manually. In ours, we've literally just got to go for the accounts, find those figures and put that in. Again, I don't think this is going to be around forever. I feel like this is an update that will come later down the line, but just for now, just be a little bit careful when you're going through setting your account. Try not to fall into bad habits and actually take for granted that QuickBooks is going to make adjustments like that for you, because at this point in time, it won't. A real good example of this is when you first put the template in here, you're putting what the tax rate's going to be. Now, in this case, I've actually got it wrong. I put it at 20% instead of 19%. So realistically, I need to update that. Otherwise, my corporation tax due is going to be wildly wrong. So there's a few little bits where us as accountants need to be a little bit more vigilant when we're using this software, again, because it's brand new. So we just need to be making sure we get it absolute spot on. So yeah, heed my advice. Don't sit there and start thinking that it's going to do what your other software does. Not necessarily. In this case, we just need to be that little bit more vigilant and just double check things that little bit more, especially for those first couple of ones that we submit. And finally, I've got a bonus one for you. At the moment, if I go to eFile now, I have to type in my presenter ID, my presenter authentication, company authentication code each and every time, which seems annoying. Well, if I go to my Pro Tax area, then from my Pro Tax area, I can go to the tax settings, top right hand corner, and there from a company's house, I can put my presenter ID in and my presenter authentication code, corporation, government, gateway ID and password, meaning I don't have to keep putting it in each and every time. So a little pro tip for you, and an extra bonus one so that you're not going to waste a lot of time like I have been doing in my first few submissions. And there we have it. There are 5 tips plus a bonus one that I wish I knew before I submitted my first account on QuickBooks Online. What do you think? How are you finding the solution? Let me know in the comments below. Any feedback whatsoever, do let me know, because I can get that over to QuickBooks themselves. But I'm absolutely loving it at the moment. Yes, there are certain things that I wish it had. There are definitely upgrades and updates that I can't wait to see. But for now, I'm just really happy the fact that I get to go in through QuickBooks and do an end-to-end solution for my clients. Just making it that so much easier to work with my clients, and it means I get the opportunity to be able to complete all of my clients' obligations with one piece of software, which I absolutely love. My name has been Aaron Patrick. Hopefully this video has been useful to you. If it has, please use that like, subscribe and all of that sort of stuff, because I think that the more people that know about how this solution works, the better it's going to be for everyone, because the more people using it, the more updates we're going to get, and that means we're going to be able to get a solution that I think could be absolutely brilliant. My name's been Aaron Patrick. This video has been an absolute pleasure to do for you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.